Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. Listen as we discuss best practices to increase your profits, streamline your operations, and ultimately create healthier, stable, and more valuable companies. Here we go. Today's guest is the president and owner of CanTex Roofing and Construction. And CanTex is a full-service construction company from residential and commercial roofing all the way up to ground-up construction. And they serve all of West Texas, up into the Panhandle, and parts of eastern New Mexico. We're excited to have you. Welcome to the podcast, Mike Hiebert.
Thank you, Albert. I'm glad to be here. Both of you, Kellen. Thank you.
Yeah. We've been excited about this one. You are, whether you know it or not, you're well known around Lubbock, and people have nothing but good things to say. And so I'm excited to have you. I do want to start with a little colorful past.
Okay.
I've heard rumor tell that not only did you play hockey professionally, but you were also the enforcer.
Well,
so tell me a little bit about that.
Rumor. I don't know. Well, I did drop the mitts a few times. I might throw some Canadian slang at you. So
yeah, do it.
We'll do some explanations on it as we go. But yeah, I like to fight. I used to, not anymore. I just want to hug you now. But no, it was part of my job.
So explain those that are ignorant to hockey. Explain a little bit, like what is an enforcer? What does it do?
So
what does he do?
And again, I don't want to say I was an enforcer. We had, I wasn't scared to fight anyone. Didn't matter the size. My play, I could skate well, played the body, physical, in your face type player. And that typically that would invite, I wasn't much of a chirper. There's another term. I wasn't much of a talker out on the ice. I'd rather just fight you or skate or, play hard. So my game invited some physical stuff, but quote unquote, an enforcer is they're a player that can change the tone of a game. They're known for their toughness. That style is really working its way out of the culture of hockey now. You have to be able to play. So the quote unquote enforcer is kind of dying. I think the game's going in a good way, obviously with all the science behind it, with the concussions, CTE, all of that, you can see why, but yeah, I still, it's the only game where you can get into a fight, go to the penalty box, feel shame for 5 minutes, and then you're set free, go do it again. And so it was definitely an awesome part of my life. And, I think I moved away from home when I was 16. I finished playing hockey when I was 30. I was in probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 250 fights.
Jeez,
in that
Louise.
It's a lot.
So other than a couple of twitches, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So hockey career, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Manitoba, straight north of North Dakota and parts of Minnesota.
Okay.
When I was 14, my family and we moved out west to Vancouver, West Coast, straight north of Seattle.
Okay.
And that's where I lived until I was 16, and then I moved away from home. So the difference in Canada for hockey, you typically, you don't live at home. If you're any good, I guess, or unless that team is in your hometown, you're traditionally moving away from home to pursue your dream.
Okay.
It's junior hockey. It's a business. It's not a school affiliated sport at the level we play. You're moving away from home and you're living with host families. The team is taking care of all of your arrangements. You live under the house rules, and go to school in that town, and you're on the road. You're playing a 60 to 70 game schedule. So
it's a lifestyle.
It is. It sure is. It's a business. You can get traded. In high school. I went to 3 different high schools my senior year of high school.
Whoa.
So very, very different. That's something I'm very thankful for, settling in, for this being my last stop in Lubbock, and having my family. It was really an exciting thought to me as a man and a husband growing, my children up, that, man, I'm going to have my kids at home until they're at least 18. You know,
it's like a different thought for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You take that for granted down here. But for me, that was a huge deal. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Cause there's not hockey here, unfortunately, but we're the largest city in America to not have an ice rink.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did. I guess it's gone now. So the team that you played for, the Cotton Kings, which anyone who grew up in the West Texas area knows, you know. And if you're like me, I was one of those people that was when I was a kid, I was always looking for the fight, you know, like that was the favorite part of the game. Yeah. But okay, so you end up in Lubbock and you play for the Cotton Kings, and that was where you finished your career in hockey, right?
Yeah, 2000 to 2004.
Okay.
Finished playing.
So then how do you go from playing hockey in Lubbock to now starting a business? Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. So growing up, my dad was in the floor covering business. He had started and ran his own business. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial type family. And just, I don't know, I believe it's either in you or it's not. And it's okay either way. Growing, you know, you have to make a living. I actually had to get a real job after hockey. So I worked for BNSF Railway for 10 years and just under 10 years. So I was a conductor. Then I promoted to an engineer, and there was really no more growth for me there other than my seniority. So I was waiting for guys with better seniority to either die or retire. And I was missing something. You know, I had a great, and I'm so thankful that I worked on the railroad because I built relationships, friendships that I have to this day. But it goes back to my hockey days too, of not settling.
Yeah. So
you're constantly, as an athlete, okay, or in profession in life, you're always trying to climb that ladder, right? If you're in this position, you're working way to get to this position. Well, that's what I knew in hockey. I'm always trying to make that next level. And so I went through a lot of not mental issues, but just mental instability with nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't content. Lord, later on in life, he showed me who I really was. He didn't create me to be a hockey player, a railroader or a roofer. He created me in his image. And so that's pretty cool. There's peace with that.
Yeah.
But you take that though in the railroad, I was a conductor in train service. Then I was an engineer. Now there's no more. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm missing something.
Right.
And so there was some, it's a tough life. The railroad life's tough. You're on a variable call schedule. You're always going somewhere. You're getting rested to go back to work. And so I talked to my wife and I was like, honey, well, I'm either going to do this another 20 years and we're going to be content, or let's look at something. She said, hey, I want you to be happy. So that's when I got into the roofing. I went and worked for another company here in town and for 2 years and found success with it. Man, it was awesome because I'm talking with people and I had a platform, I guess, from hockey.
Yeah.
You're recognized to a degree, but that platform is only as good as the individual. And so I just learning, like my dad taught me, like you do things with excellence, elite work.
Yeah.
When you say something, you do it. That's a simple philosophy. So did that for 2 years and really thankful for that opportunity to get my foot in the door with roofing. But that entrepreneurial spirit kicked in and I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I don't know everything there is to know about the industry yet. I'm constantly learning, but I want to be able to control the culture. The culture is the key in business, in success. And so, honey, I think let's start our own. So I was literally kicking I have a tractor tire rim in the backyard that I'd burn wood. And one night I'm just kicking that rim and CanTex, that came to mind. I'm like, hey, CanTex.
Yeah.
I think that might be something. Anyway, so that's where it started.
And that's because you're from Canada and now you're in Texas, right?
I'm from Canada. My wife's from Texas and CanTex. So, and it's maple leaf with the Texas flag colors in it. And very proud to say that.
It's a cool logo. I really like it.
I am American now though.
Oh, nice.
Canadian citizen, born and raised. I was a green card holder for many years. But May 17th of 2022, I became an American citizen.
Oh, man.
Very cool.
That was unbelievable. Like, come on.
Yeah, that is
when
awesome.
I swore to bear arms for this country if asked to do so. I was like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? And we were just coming out of COVID, and
right.
You do that ceremony in Plano at the event center, and there was 685 people in that big auditorium, and there was 81 countries represented.
Wow.
Pretty neat. Pretty special. It was really neat.
That is really cool. You don't get to hear that story very often. How long did that take to become a citizen?
Just under a year. Okay. From start to finish. You know, I had made my life down here, and you know, everything is up to date. You know what I mean? There was good records, and you just pay the money and you get it online and start inputting all the information they're asking. And so, yeah, it was pretty straightforward for me. But it was an exciting one.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
That's awesome. So, congratulations.
Thank you. I have my passport. So all along I would like when we'd leave the country, my wife and I, or my kids and I, when we come back through in customs, I'd have to go one way and they'd go another. Oh, no. We all go the same way.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Little things that just keep you kind of excited. So.
Okay. So you started your own business.
Yes.
Did you just take off in success from day one?
Easy ride.
Yeah.
Nothing
sure.
Like it. Yeah. No. So May 9th. So May 6th of 2016 was the last roof I sold for the other company. May 9th, 2016, my LLC was formed at Austin. Roofed my first house May 25th. And I was ready to go on the 20th, but my general liability insurance wasn't. And I was not going to do it without the proper insurance. And so I waited till the 25th. But, you know, life experiences, they give you your present, you know what I mean? And if you can reflect back on those and learn from it, then it was a good experience. And so I had a couple of different businesses in the past. When I was playing hockey, I had a company called Go Time Sports. And so I had a roller hockey business and sold equipment and everything here at Lubbock. And then while I was railroading, there was a time where I got cut off from the railroad. The economy in 2008 kind of took a dive. And so I started actually a lawn business. It was called Maple Leaf Lawn, Lawn and Landscape. And so that actually I had really good success with it. And, but in those moments, like working, when I did Go Time and then also Maple Leaf, I was burning the candle at both ends. So on the hockey business, I'm out on the rink, I'm working with the kids, I'm doing that, taking care of all the travel, all of that. Lawn business, I'm running my crews, I'm out there mowing, weed eating, edging, blowing off, cleaning up flower beds. I'm doing that. But then in the evening, I'm doing all my books. My books weren't very pretty. You know, they were right, but they weren't pretty.
Yeah.
And I can't say they were right. I made probably a ton of mistakes. It was a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when I started CanTex, I was like, okay, I'm not going down that road again. I'm going to have the right butts and the right seats. Okay. So I hired an office manager right off the hop. I set it up, files, everything, documentation, paperwork, showed her the process.
Yeah.
And said, hey, this is how this is going to go. I'm going to bring you the business. You do it. You do with it, you know, as we're showing. And night and day different. And so I learned from that experience earlier that, hey, you know what? I know how paperwork should go. I know how all the filing is, but Mike, you're not very good at it. You know, your gifts are out there developing relationships, building the business. And so that was something where I'm glad I walked through it, or else I would have never have known. And it saved me, I think, a lot, because the business was running smooth from the beginning, from behind the scenes. And so just went out and hit it, and we had a successful first year.
There's so much in that I feel like applies to many businesses, right?
Oh, yes.
It's like you knew yourself well enough to know what you were best at and what you shouldn't spend your time on. And it costs something to hire people to do that for you. I think a lot of times as a business owner, it's like, I don't need to spend that. I could do that myself. And we had a conversation similar to this yesterday, Albert and I. But it's so valuable to be able to focus on what you're best at. And I love that you had this self-awareness. I mean, you can see the success of your business, how it's worked for you. So, and you said earlier something else that I think is kind of related, which is, you went into this business and you didn't know, it's not like you knew everything, you had a lot of things you just didn't know. Can you speak to that a little bit? Maybe after you got into CanTex, you already had some things that you brought in with you that you had learned, but have you learned some lessons, or did you learn some early lessons at CanTex that maybe you've gotten better in since then?
Absolutely. I think experience is one. Okay. So playing hockey as long as I did, then working in the railroad, having a family. I was right at 40 years old when I started CanTex.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't, not that I'm old, but not a spring chicken, you know. I think it would look a lot different if I was 25 and doing it.
Right.
Right. There's just things you just don't know. So learning and knowing, like putting the right butts in the right seats. Plus I'm removed from the game, hockey a long time, because that's what I relate a lot of things to, is my sports life. And I owe everything to hockey, or else I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be working in a paper mill up in northern Canada right now. But the experience factor from what makes a team, what makes an individual. Okay. It's culture, but also understanding the gifts, understanding what are the right butts in the right seats. And so my hockey career, I played 27 years, won 3 championships in my whole career. So I removed myself from the game, you sit back and you reflect and you go, okay, what would I do different here? What would I have done different here? How was I as a teammate? Was I coachable as a player? And you look at this and you get to now translate it into business.
Yeah.
Okay. Channel that energy.
Trying to make a championship team in your business.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I strive to do. When it comes to a hockey team, you have you have an owner, general manager, then you have your coaching staff, and then you have your players. And in hockey, you have 5 players on the ice at one time for one team. You have your forwards, your center, left wing, right wing, and then your D, and then your goalie's always in the net. And so you have 4 lines. You have your first line, second line, third line, fourth line. For forwards, defense, you'll have 3 pairings, typically of 2. Then you have your star goalie. Well, your first line is no different than any star football player, baseball player. They're the ones that are scoring all the points. They're the big dogs. They're the Patrick Mahomes.
All the recognition.
Yeah, they get all the press time.
Yeah.
They're getting all the accolades and everything like that. And that's what that first line is. That's what they're paid to do, is put the puck in the net or score touchdowns, what have you. The second line, they're the same. They're right up there too, but they have a little bit more of an edge to them. Okay. But they're right there. They're second tier, but they're solid. The third line, they've got a lot of character. Those guys got a lot of character. They might not be the most prolific goal scorers, but my goodness, they're good at what they do. You know what I mean? Yeah. They are typically shutting down the other team's first line. They are assigned with a job and they do it with excellence. The fourth line, back in the old days, that's where the enforcers were. They were keeping the end of the bench warm.
Yeah.
They're only getting single-digit minutes in a 60-minute game of playtime. They're character guys, though. Anytime you look their way, they're positive, they're uplifting, they're attaboys, they're good in the locker room. You know what I mean? They're character guys, they're funny, but they keep things light, and you just know you can count on them. They're your blue collar guy. And same with the defense. And then your goalies are all just a little different. You got to be to face 90, 100 mile an hour shots. But so you have all those different personalities, right? And it's the coach's job to understand, because, hey, the first line guys, there can be some drama that comes with them.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, don't want to hurt them. You know what I mean? Some guys are more maintenance than the others. Right. But it's the job of the coach to know who's what and how can we all come together, okay, to accomplish the goal. The general manager, his job is really to assemble the team. It depends now, how much input the coach and the GM, they typically collaborate together. But it's their job to make sure they put together a good nucleus and a good team. The ownership, they're the engine. They've got to make sure the engine's healthy. They've got to make sure there's money in the bank to pay these players, right? And to provide them, to empower them to do what they do to be successful. And so all of that being said, I had 3 teams my whole career that we won. For 24 years, I was a loser. Okay. Think about that. So I looked at those teams and I said, what was different about those? And it broke down to that we got into alignment. Everybody understood their role.
Yeah.
They're willing to go through the wall for each other and they're accountable to their job. And together we achieve the goal that we set out for. And so you translate that into business and hey, there's no locker room speeches like, kicking, garbage cans and stuff like that, right? That's not the real world. That's the bubble of sport. But you translate and redirect that energy into business and put the right butts in the right seats. In our hiring, we're very intentional about who we're hiring. What gets you out of bed? What's your why? We want to know that because this isn't just a job. We want it to be something that it's life-giving, that you want to do. Okay. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. Right. But that shouldn't be every day if you have the choice.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that's kind of how we've built our team. And, I'm sticking to it.
We love the sports metaphor. We use them all the time. Right now we're looking for the A player for somebody who we're helping hire. And then there's also, we've talked about on this podcast, we've used the idea of the glue guy on a basketball team, the guy who kind of just can do everything. So I love the analogies. And in your business, I would imagine that you're kind of a combination of a coach and a GM and an owner. You're kind of wearing all of those hats. And then looking at your team, I mean, as you were saying the lines and everything, I'm thinking about like sales and marketing being like the front line, the kind of flashy guys that can talk to everybody, and maybe the back line or administrative types or somebody who's important in the business. But knowing what people fit where and hiring people who are truly gifted in that area so that you can build this championship team of a business. Like that's so important. I love that analogy.
Same. The analogy, articulating that in different ways and, keeping it stupid, simple, that is, we just have to continue to beat that into our head. But I love the journey from the solopreneur doing everything, right? Wearing every hat, touching everything, and you can justify that of like, I want excellence. I want to be excellent. Whatever we're doing, we're going to be the best. To making that, having the self-awareness and, starting anew and being like, well, I can't be everything.
And people want to play for a championship team, so to speak. Like they want to be in a group that everybody's trying to find excellence,
Yeah. And that's
contagious.
That's one of those, foundational things in all people is they want to progress and they want to do excellent work. And we've touched on culture so much and I want to get into that, but can you kind of describe what does CanTex look like today? How many employees, like what is your, first, second, third, fourth lines? What does that look like today?
Okay. So very blessed. We have 46 employees.
Wow.
And so we have our front office, we have our accounting, our finance, our AR, AP. Then we have our upper management, I guess you'd say, or our leadership team. We have our general manager. We have our COO. I have obviously CFO in the office. But then we have our division leaders. So we have our commercial roofing division, pitched roofing division, commercial glass, and then construction. And that's broken up into residential and commercial construction. Each division has its leader, and so we meet with them weekly. I have an executive team, so it's a group of 4 of us that basically we do a Monday recap, looking back at the week and then looking ahead at the week. And so accountability is the key. But we have a really neat group of individuals that, you know, the culture, yes, it starts and stops with me. And that's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to know. Like, your company is only as healthy as you're going to allow it to be. You know, a lot of people want to take the credit for the good things, but they don't want to take the credit when it goes south.
Yeah.
And so we've had different times in our 9 years or 8 years where our culture, that Kool-Aid didn't taste very good for a short time. And I was to blame for that. But what I am thankful for is the team I had around me was there to jump in the gap for me. Because I haven't always been perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life throws you some lemons sometimes, and you've got to pivot and you got to deal with it.
Right.
And so I'm thankful that we had the team to support, because I'm as accountable as anybody. It's not just about me laying out the iron fist. You better look in the mirror as the owner and say, you know what, am I leading the way I'm supposed to be? And so I'm thankful for those times that, you know, that they were able to jump in the gap. But every person that joins our team, they are an ingredient to that culture. And so we ask them, like, do you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? What do you bring? Because this is what we do. This is how we are. And you either fit in or you don't. It's not a matter of, you know, people don't typically get fired from CanTex. They fire themselves. And that's the truth, because they want to separate themselves from the pack. And so, I don't know, it's an ever evolving process.
So roofing, construction, it's not the most glamorous job.
It's awesome.
It's hard. Those are hard working people.
It is. We wouldn't do it without our people.
And you talk about this culture, and for those of you, you know, listening that aren't from Lubbock, like, you guys have a reputation of having a good culture.
Thank you.
At the, you know, your team that walks in to apartment association and events, like, they're there to serve. They're there to learn, to listen, and you know, deliver good service. And you know, I'm proud for you for that. But, you know, big picture, like, it's construction, it's blue collar work.
Sure.
Like, it's hard. You're going out and, you know, you're getting dirty every day. And so can you maybe give some like practical things you guys are doing to help create that culture and sell that vision to where, you know, guys coming to work for you, like, that's their career. It's not just a job,
right?
You know, it's potentially a career, and you're selling that vision and culture. Like, practically, what are some, you know, things you do?
You know, if you don't like people, you probably don't want to come work for us. Okay. Because everything we do, whether it's putting a new roof on for a homeowner or a business, or doing a construction job, or doing a curtain wall glass job, or whatever, okay, you're dealing with some sort of human being. Okay. And so now the home, that's a very personal purchase. The business, that's an acquisition, right? But when you have the mindset and the heart to serve, that's what we're looking for when we're meeting people. Do you have the heart to serve? Because I was asked that several times over the last few years, like, how's the roofing business? I'm like, awesome. And they're like, really? What is so awesome about roofing? I said, well, it's not necessarily the roof. It's the people behind it. That's what I'm intrigued with most. Like, we are a bunch of relationship management people.
Yeah.
And so if we're chasing after the dollar, okay, that's going to come through. But if you're chasing after relationship, okay, and our purpose statement is together we are one serving you. And so when you have a culture that gets into alignment, like, our front office is serving our field people are serving our clients, you know, and you're in alignment on that. And we know our role of who we're serving. Okay. And you have a joyful heart doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, it doesn't matter if you're selling toilets, sinks, roofs, whatever. Okay. There's some pizzazz behind it. You know what I mean? And I might not use the language I'd normally use, you know, in the locker room, but you've got to have some cojones.
Yeah.
You got to have some cojones to be in business, you know? And so what's your why? Well, I want to change people's lives. I want to, you know, impact people in a positive way. Know that our product is fantastic. We've put a great roof over your head, or we've put great windows, or we built an awesome construction process or project for you, but that you enjoyed the process. Our people were awesome to work with. That's gotta have some cojones to do it though.
That's so important, and there's such a difference, right? I think of a lot of the trades, like there's such a difference. Some companies, I think of all the plumbing companies that have come into my house to fix this or that, and there's some, they're going to show up when they show up. They're going to come in and do the job and get out as quick as they can, and then they'll email you an invoice. And great, they got the job done. But there's such a difference. The people that want to pursue that with excellence, that are communicating with you, hey, we're just letting you know we are a little late on this job. We'll be at your house in the next this window. And when they get there, they're going the extra step. They're bringing towels. They're laying down tarps. They're taking care of that house that they're in. And when they leave, they're cleaning it up and leaving it better than what they found it.
That's right.
And I'm gonna pay more for that.
Yeah.
My wife that can, she stays at home with our boys, and she's a professional chauffeur for the family, keeping us together. If she's stuck at the house for 8 hours waiting for some obscure window, she's not gonna be happy.
Nope.
And I'm gonna be mad too, because something didn't get done that day that now we have to go do that night. And so anyway, I'm rambling, but I think there's so much honor, and there's so much like just being a servant like that in especially in the trades, that there's like, that's impactful when you can deliver something that you care about.
That's right.
And that's what I'm hearing from you in your culture, is like, you give a crap.
Yeah.
You want to serve these people with excellence, and you can sell that vision to your employees, that they know, like, I'm doing good work.
How much does your faith play into that? And do you speak in that way in the workplace, or is that something that you talk about?
I mean, what you see is what you get here.
Yeah.
To me, faith, God, that's a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. It's shown through your actions, how you treat. To me, we have church every day. We get to witness to people every day. And that's not sitting there just with the Bible open. I believe in corporate fellowship and all that, but we are to be a light out in the community. And so, hey, it comes in all different shapes and sizes. I don't believe in some cookie cutter, one way is right and the other way is wrong. I believe that's a personal relationship with the Lord, and through him, you see, his counsel, his wise, he's the wisest counsel you could ever seek.
Yeah.
And so that should shine through you as an individual. So,
well, when you're talking about serving in the way that you are in your business, I can't help but think that that's a big influence in your life, and just cool to see that in a business owner and the way that you're doing things. So I guess I'm curious, this is a little bit of a shift, but what are you excited about? Like, what is on the horizon for CanTex that gets you fired up?
I'm fired up, man. So in 2024, the vision was grow within. Okay. Refine our processes, become more efficient, which should in turn improve profits. Okay. Right. Whether it's 1, 2, 3 points here or there. Okay. If we can become more efficient and be better at what we do internally, then it'll reflect. And so I believe, have done a very good job. Everybody bought into that and drank that Kool-Aid this year and was a part of the ingredients to the Kool-Aid. So the vision for 2025 is plan and execute. Plan and execute. Yeah. That sounds, we've heard it lots before, but planning is putting together a plan, and it's a group of people. There's nobody just on an island in our company. You have a group of people you work with, you're accountable to. And so putting together a plan, a good plan doesn't have if this would have worked out, I would have gotten this. A plan is you've punched holes in it. You've just it. It's if this goes on, we're going to do this. That's what a good plan is. And so now it's executing. Okay.
Yeah.
Execute that plan. So that's our vision. That's our vision for this year. And we're really for 2025. And it's using very intentional words: accountability, communication, excellence, elite.
Mm-hmm.
In order to be elite, you got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah. You got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. And so I got a group of people that they're fired up.
Cool.
And so we go on a leadership trip each year. We call it a vision trip. And so we're going in January, and I've tasked my team, and I'm doing the same thing, but we're putting together basically a presentation we've been doing our budget and our revenue meetings and so on and so forth since October as we prepare for 25, but they're putting together their final presentation, and they're going to present it to their other colleagues, in our leadership team. And at the end, we're going to do a Q&A, and we're either going to buy or pass, like a buy or sell.
Yeah.
And so there's a little pressure there, because I feel that, hey, if your colleagues aren't going to buy it, why do you think our customers would? Mm. And vice versa, right? And so I'm excited. They're really taking it to heart. They're working hard on it, and I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's okay. But
not every business owner thinks at that level. Thinking about what you want to do with the business and not just be in the weeds all the time. And I love seeing that. That's where, when we do our business coaching, that's where we start, is strategic vision exercise, where we just think about, what are we dreaming about? What are we going for and how are we going to, on this playing field with the other businesses that are out there, how are we going to be the Southwest Airlines and not the American Airlines, so to speak? How are we going to win the game of business?
That's right.
And I don't know if that's as timely as it.
Okay, I do have something real quick on that, because people need to know, business leaders need to know that you don't have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You're going to fail. You're going to fail in business. You're going to fail with your customer. How are you going to respond to that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you going to make it right? Like when we have some commissioned only sales guys. Okay. And so when it comes down to integrity, are you willing to forego your whole commission if a job just goes hell in a handbasket? Mm-hmm. Are you willing to give your full commission up to make sure that job is good? Because if you're not a fit with us. Mm. Okay. But from a coaching, I'm going to talk to you about something real quick. The insecurities, okay, of being an owner, being a boss. So about 5 years ago, it's been almost 6, I saw the trajectory that we were on, and I became really insecure. Am I equipped to take this where it needs to go, or where I think it's going to go? Because
you had so much growth happening? Is that why?
It was, yeah. And I'll be honest. I mean, I just went through some stinking thinking for a while, and so I actually reached out for some help. And so I came across a contractor coach that he had ran his own successful construction companies, but he found his niche in serving and coaching. And so I actually invested in him for a year, and I'm telling you, it was a game changer. And so I've always been very process oriented, mm-hmm. okay, SOPs and everything, but they were all right here. And he taught me to write them down. Yeah. Take that load off. So I can honestly say we have a standard operating procedure, job description for everything that we do in our company. And there's so many positives that come from that.
Yeah.
But I was able to learn. So my point behind that is, we are so many times as a boss, we are looked to have the answer. And yes, you probably do have most of the answers. Sometimes we don't. Don't be afraid to reach out. Hopefully you've surrounded yourself with a good supporting cast, okay, that you can be transparent with, you can be vulnerable with, but surround yourself with a team of people that aren't going to judge you, question you, if you don't know the answer. But seek wise counsel, and you'll be all right.
Man, there's so much so much good here from the like starting as like the solopreneur to the illustration of like a coach, like that. Like that's what we talk about as a business owner. Like you are a coach, and your job is to build a team that runs the business better than you could by yourself. And that's so hard as a business owner, to get out of your own way, to take your hand off the business and give up some control. But that's ultimately the job. And then you articulated it so well with your culture that I know it's woo, whatever, but business owners, leaders, listen to this. Roofing, construction, like doing the hard work. You have helped sell a vision to your people, that you've inspired them that, hey, we're going to be world class at this. We're going to be really good. And you're going to come here and you're going to learn some things, and you're going to progress in your career. You're going to make more money. You're going to get a bigger title, and we're going to grow this thing together. And that's your job as a business owner, is to continue, once you can get out of the weeds and quit doing everything, then you're the coach. And you've got to go to work every day and develop your players.
That's right.
And you look up 8, 9, 10 years from now, and you're going to win some championships.
We hope to, and yeah, like I bet you at least 60 to 70% of my time is working on the business instead of in it. And
that's great.
You have to be intentional about doing that, though.
Yeah.
Right. So many great entrepreneurs out there. I've heard some awesome visions, but they can't get out of the day-to-day, hustle bustle, which is commendable. It's respectable, but the art of delegation, that's something that you're not born with as a learned behavior. And so that comes with some faith. It comes with some trust, comes with giving up power, but it also sometimes have to dive into the weeds of why are you not willing to give up? Is there control issues? You know what I mean? And so that's exciting for me, because we deal with that in our own company. I actually, believe it or not, don't like confrontation. That was one of my weakest.
The enforcer doesn't like confrontation.
Unbelievable, eh? And
I got one of those.
Yes, you did get one.
Slipped.
I even might throw a y'all out there though. Too.
Good.
But let's say an employee or a colleague, somebody would do something that I didn't necessarily approve of. Okay. Forever, I would harbor that. If instead of having constructive, criticism,
direct feedback,
not a calling out, but just address it head on, I wouldn't. I'd be scared. I'd be nervous about what they would feel or how they would feel about it. And so I'd let it harbor, and I'd fester, and I'd be like, I'd get mad inside, but I might ignore that person, or I might be quiet or whatever. And so I've had to be very intentional about that over 5 years to improve on that. And I've pretty much gained victory in it. Always working at it though, but night and day different than how I was. And so it was ironic. I giggle about it too, but you can't, fighting, fight people in business world.
No, gloves can't come off.
My hands, I broke them a couple of times.
Man.
That's not the way to go, but conflict.
That was the other piece that has really struck me in this conversation is the intentionality that you brought, right? The going off on, the retreat with your executive team, that they're putting together the vision that they have. Right? Like that takes some, to, take your term, some cojones to do that, to give up control. But whenever you do that, whenever you see, ask your people, hey, where do you see this going? Where do you want to take this thing? And get their input. You get some buy-in. They also, they get to create, they're bought into the business. They're bought into the vision. They're proud of it.
Yeah. They played a role.
Yeah. They get to tell their, family and friends, like, hey, this is what I got to do at work. And I commend you for that intentionality to make time to do that with your people. And then also to make time to work on yourself. Yeah. Cause a lot of times, God only gives you what you're prepared for. And I think you felt it the insecurity that you described. It was like this future that we could go to. Like, I'm not ready for it. I don't know how to lead in that. And so,
well, and no business owner knows everything. It's like, no matter how good you are, how smart you are, everybody needs that wise counsel, as you put it a minute ago. And it's interesting that you got a boost from the business coaching, right? And something we tell our clients is like, I don't care if you're the most talented business owner in the world, like nobody knows how to do everything. And so having that group of counselors, having those people who can help you see how to work on the business. And I know there's probably a lot of people who listen to this, like hearing about your SOPs, and they're like, when am I going to have time to do that? You know, it's like, well, if you don't ever make that time, it's, you know, it's never going to get fixed, and it's just going to continue the same. Need something to break us out of those places and seek out the people and the counsel we need. So that's a big takeaway from today. But I think we need to get into our fire round.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So, all right, Mike.
What do we got here?
What's your favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's a great one.
Man, he was quick on the draw with
Stephen King. Did you know that? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
All right. What is, aside from the Bible, what is your favorite nonfiction book?
Nonfiction book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Classic. Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah. Great book.
What's a piece of advice that's common in your industry that you don't agree with?
Piece of advice.
Or words of wisdom, something that you hear a lot that you're like, I don't know about that.
Don't put, roofing, because we're in so many different industries. I don't want to put that shingle on because it's too good.
Okay. Explain.
Well, there's different qualities of shingles. And we feel we've partnered with the best in the industry, Malarkey. Okay. And not saying that any others, I'm not going here on a manufacturer bash. Okay. But there is good, bad, and better, or best, whatever you want to say, the best. And, but there's some people that will not put Malarkey on because they feel it's too good of a shingle. Yeah. It will not get replaced every time it hails.
And it's like that old saying.
That's what we want. We want to put on a great product. If you claim to be the best, you better put the best product on.
It reminds me of that saying, good enough for government work. It's like not the attitude you want to have in your business.
Good enough is not good enough.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's great.
Okay. And then finally, how can people get in touch with you? How can people do business with you? Where do we need to send them?
Send them either to our website, cantexroofing.com, or our office is 806-475-0010. I'll give my cell phone if they want to reach out. They can call me at 806-239-5448.
Okay.
Man, thank you so much. That was great. Great stories.
It didn't seem long enough. We didn't even get to talk about Ronnie Reagan.
We're going to have to get on that next time. We'll have you on another time.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah. What a great conversation. I think we all got a lot out of that. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you did, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we invite you to check out our website at www.stagcoaching.com.
See you on the next one.